Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, evening, night, morning, whatever time of the day that you're going to be watching this particular video. Uh, this video, as you guys know by the title, is going to be about Alabama. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making a series of maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 videos or so talking about Alabama. I mean, there's been other YouTubers recently that I've watched, and they've had some videos about Alabama and how great Alabama is, and all kind of reasons why you should move to Alabama. And there's also been a YouTuber or two that I watch, and one used to live in Alabama, and he has made several videos why he decided to leave Alabama. Now, me myself, I've been in Alabama now for a little over a year. And I've been in Alabama once before this time. I want to say for a couple of months. I was camping out of my minivan at the time in Montgomery. So I'm going to make a series of videos just talking about Alabama. Now, this video that I'm going to do today is going to primarily be a video to where I spit out a bunch of statistical information about Alabama. And depending on how I feel and how long that part of the video takes, I might give you guys some ideas of where in Alabama you should move, depending on why it is you're looking at moving to Alabama. And then I'm going to do another video discussing my personal experience of Alabama and how I feel about Alabama and things of that sort. Now, that video is not going to have statistical data. It's just going to be based on my personal experience in Alabama. So this is going to be at least 3 videos I'm going to do that will discuss Alabama. And this is going to be the first one. And these videos I do will be in no particular order. I'm going to just do whatever. So, let's get started here. So, for those of you that are looking to move to the wonderful state of Alabama, the Yellowhammer State, the Dixie State, Home Street Home Alabama, all that wonderful stuff. I mean, I got my little handheld computer here. I'm going to just get some data. Now, for starters, the population of Alabama as a state is close to 5 million people. The population is 4,921,532 people. And let's see, for 50% of people who live in Alabama are married. 50.9% are married. 12.5% are divorced. 28.5% are married with children. 18.2% have children but are single. Now, as far as it goes for the racial makeup, you got 65.9% whites, 26.4% black, 1.3% Asian, 4.1% Hispanic, and the rest of the ethnicities that you can think of have lower than 1%. Now, in a nutshell, when it comes to the state of Alabama, like when it comes to the climate in Alabama, Now, I'm pretty sure many of you think of Alabama as a warmer climate, which compared to many other parts of the country, it is. Now, in Alabama, obviously, the farther south you go, the warmer it gets. So, like in the far northern part of Alabama, i.e., the greater Huntsville area, I mean, anywhere in the northern Alabama region, period. I mean, during the summer months, like most other parts of the South, you're gonna have hot, humid summers. But come wintertime in Alabama, for the most part, you're gonna get very little snow at the most. Like I would say, in the far northern part of Alabama, if it does snow, you might get enough to cover the grass. But then by the next day, all that is gonna be melted. So in northern Alabama, even in northern Alabama, you don't really have to worry about snow a whole bunch, if at all. Like I said, if it does snow, at the most you're going to get is enough to cover the grass. It's not even going to stick to the pavement for the most part. Every once in a blue moon, okay, you might get a few inches on the ground, but even that's not going to happen real frequently in Alabama. Now, one thing that will go on in North Alabama is you might get an ice storm or two during the winter, depending on what type of winter that we have. You might get an ice storm, which in my opinion is worse than snow. And obviously in northern Alabama, it's gonna be the coldest part of the states. Now, when you move down to the middle part of Alabama, like I would say when you move down to the greater Montgomery area and further south, I mean, for the most part, you're not going to have to worry about snow. In fact, you're not even going to see snow flurries. I mean, again, every once in a while, you might see some snow flurries in mid and southern Alabama, but for the most part, during the winter time, you're not even going to see snow flurries. You're barely going to see snow flurries. And when it comes to an ice storm, I mean, I've lived in Alabama for a year, and even when I was in Alabama before, when I was living out of my van in Montgomery, when it comes to an ice storm, you're not going to see a whole lot of ice storms in mid and southern Alabama. And obviously, for those of you that are from Alabama, if I'm wrong about the ice storm part, feel free to correct me in the comments section so everyone gets accurate information about Alabama. Mainly I'm just speaking off of what I've actually experienced so far and what a few people told me. So, and what a few people told me. And now, when it comes to tornadoes, Alabama does get its fair share of tornadoes. In fact, I want to say, maybe a couple of months ago, tornado did hit many parts of Alabama. In fact, just a couple of days or so ago, there was a thunderstorm that delivered very strong winds that did some considerable damage to different parts of Alabama. So down here, we are subjected to tornadoes, and we also are subjected to thunderstorms that will have winds that will damage stuff and bring down trees and phone lines and stuff of that and stuff like that. And down here in Alabama, when it rains, The kind of rain that we get down here in Alabama is different than rain from, let's say, the Midwest. Like up in the Midwest, when it rains, typically it's not going to rain so hard to where you can barely see where you're going. I mean, every once in a while you might get a hard rain like that up in the Midwest, but for the most part you don't. Now, here in Alabama, I'm going to put it to you guys like this. You know, the precipitation that Alabama does not receive during the winter in the form of snow, because most of Alabama does not get snow, we're going to get every bit of that in rain. So like up north, as where many of your up north states might get snow, down here we'll get that precipitation in the form of rain. And down here when it rains, sometimes it will rain so hard that you can't even see in front of you if you're on the road. And there's people that when it gets to raining, they pull off to the side because it rains that hard. So down here in Alabama and many other parts of the deep south, when it rains hard. It's like it downpours. It's crazy. Let's see, what else can I say? And I would say, oh, and another thing is, I mean, I know there's some of you that might, you might, I know there's some of you that might wonder, okay, well, does Alabama have a lot of days of sunlight? Actually, Alabama has, I mean, it's not Florida down here. It's not Florida. It's not California or nothing like that, but in many parts of northern Alabama, you'll get anywhere from 200 to 206 days of sun per year. In mid and southern Alabama, you'll get anywhere from 210 to, I want to say, 215 days of sun per year. For those, I mean, because like for me, one of the reasons why I chose to move to Alabama was, I mean, not only because it's a lot warmer down here than it was up in Indiana, but on top of that, down here, I don't have to worry about shoveling snow. I don't have to deal with driving through snow and ice. Don't have to deal with the salt eating at the enamel of my vehicles, rusting my vehicles out. And on top of that, when I look out the window and I see an abundance of sunlight, it puts me in a better mood. So for those of you that might have issues with depression, Alabama might possibly be a state that you might want to move to due to the days of sunlight that we get here in Alabama compared to other states. Now, I guess if you got the money, you can move somewhere that's got even more days of sunlight and is even warmer than here, such as Florida or Southern California or something of that nature. And okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just briefly discuss the different parts of Alabama. I mean, I realized. I forgot to say one more thing. Now, another thing that I've been hearing is, I've been hearing from various YouTubers of how Alabama is starting to grow and how people are starting to move here to Alabama. Well, I'm going to give you guys some statistical information about the growth of Alabama. Let me look it up real quick. Okay, the population of Alabama has increased by 2.9% as of the 2020 census. So when it comes to the people moving to Alabama, people are out right now. People are not exactly kicking the door down to live in Alabama. Now, my personal prediction is that's going to change. Why do I think it's going to change? Well, for one, it's a state that offers a warmer climate, and it's a state that offers a warmer climate, and it also offers extremely low price housing. And I predict that as time goes by, there's going to be more people from Florida and Tennessee and even parts of Georgia looking at Alabama as a potential place to call home due to the affordability that's here when it comes to housing, and also due to the climate that we have down here. You got mild. I mean, yes, we got hot, humid, sticky summers, but I find that more people are willing to deal with that as opposed to dealing with harsh, cold, snowy winters. And like I told you a minute ago, here in Alabama, we barely get snow. And our winter times down here are relatively mild. But that's one more thing I'm gonna go over real quick. Now, when it comes to winter time here in Alabama, I mean, I would say in northern Alabama, your average winter temperature during the day, it's gonna fluctuate from the 40s into the 50s. And I would say for mid Alabama, your temperatures are gonna be in the 50s. And I would say in the southern section of Alabama, your temperatures are gonna fluctuate from the mid 50 from the I would say, yeah, your temperatures are going to fluctuate anywhere from the low 50s into the low 60s. And again, I'm just going off of what I've actually experienced during the year that I've lived here in Alabama, and I've traveled all over the state to do my videos for this channel. And as far as people moving here to Alabama, the majority the majority of the people that are moving here to Alabama are either moving to the far northern section of Alabama. A lot of people are moving primarily to the greater Huntsville part of Alabama. Like they're moving to like Huntsville, Hartselle, Madison, places like that. And you have a fair amount of people that are even moving over to the Florence and Muscle Shores part of Alabama, which I do have those videos coming in the near future, so stay tuned for those videos. In another part of Alabama where you have quite a few people moving to is the far southwest part of Alabama. And to be more specific, you got a lot of people moving to Baldwin County, which is basically Foley, Spanish Fort, and the Gulf Shores. So you got a lot of people moving to that part of Alabama. Now, as far as all the other parts of Alabama, now you do got certain areas where, you got places like Troy, Alabama, which is located towards the southeast part of the state. You do have a significant amount of people moving there. Troy, as you guys as some of you guys already know, it's the home of Troy University. It's a college community. It's a very transient city. So you got a lot of people moving over to Troy. And you got a fair amount of people also moving to Tuscaloosa, which, Tuscaloosa is a lot bigger than Troy. Tuscaloosa is a mid-sized city, and it also has a sizable college atmosphere. And let me think. But yeah, primarily, I mean, for the most part, those are the parts of Alabama where the majority of your transplants are moving to. Let me think here. Okay, now for those of you that wonder rather or rather not Alabama is a good place to live, you know what? I'm gonna put that on my next video that's coming up here, so stay tuned for that video. I'm gonna go ahead and jump off here and get on my next video, so I will see you guys over on my next video. Like always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Andrew's Life. Thanks for watching. If you like what you hear, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider doing that. And until next time, everybody have a blessed one. I'll see you on the next one.